Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park 20 playthrough with the Phillies. We are at opening day for this 2044 season, which is going to be my last season with this playthrough before I retire. I've made all my roster moves, wound up doing pretty well in terms of not losing anybody. We had some guys who were out of option years. I threw them on the waiver wire, and for the most part, we kept them all. I think Murdoch Ings, for instance, Villalobos, who, I could stand to lose him, but we were able to hold on to some good pitching depth, send them down to AAA in case we got some injuries that happen. But I'm kind of liking, even though we weren't too active in the offseason, I'm kind of liking that we've got some money available. We've got quite a bit of money available for, like mid-tier free agents, or if we get to the trading deadline or get middle of the season and we need some help, we do have some room in that in the budget and the payroll to handle, again, some mid-tier, maybe even a little bit better than mid-tier type players if we need them. There are a couple young guys, I'll look at the lineup and show you what I'm talking about, who they might have some question marks whether they can handle the full-time starting role at third and second primarily, but I'm hopeful that they can. I think the moves that we did make in the offseason, we picked up a good starting pitcher. We picked up a much better first baseman than we had last year, a guy with a lot of power, good contact, and he is a right-handed batter, which is something we definitely need in that lineup. I don't know if we're going to be strong enough to repeat what we did last year. I mean, we won, I think it was 99 wins last year, or 101 maybe last year. We've just been on a great roll here. 5 National League East titles in a row. Don't know if we're going to be able to do that, but I think the moves I made are going to at least keep us competitive, and then we'll just have to go from there. But this episode, I'll do what I usually do start of the season. There's a couple reports I like to look at, and then we'll send through hopefully the first month of the season and see how we're starting out. First thing, though, I like to look at the minor league system rankings. This gives you how many players, how many prospects are showing up from your system in that top 100 prospects list. And we're looking pretty good considering the run that we've been on. We're always drafting low in the first round when we have a first round pick. And we've got some guys showing up here pretty high. I mean, we've got 3 guys, all pitchers. All 4 of the guys showing up on the top 100 list for us are pitchers. But 3 of these guys are showing up in top 41. So that's pretty good. We got Hire, who a guy we picked up in trade with Houston over the offseason. He's going to be in the bullpen right now, but he might eventually work his way into the starting rotation. He has some great individual ratings on his pitches. Not too happy with that movement. Typically, that means he's going to give up a lot of home runs, but if he's a kind of shut-down pitcher, gets a lot of strikeouts, you can probably live with that. He probably won't give up too many runs, even though the movement is low, so we'll have to see how he looks, and really how the rest of the rotation looks going into the season and maybe up to the All-Star break. And then the other report, the preseason predictions, which usually gives you a good idea of what the AI thinks of your roster. I think to generate this report, it goes through multiple sims, and then it just kind of takes an aggregate, looks at the average records of the teams, and then some of the top performers. We'll start off looking at the American League. It looks like the Yankees, who beat us in the World Series last year, took them 7 games, but they had a great season last year. They're predicted to win the East again. Cleveland's going to have another good year. Houston in the American League West, and then looks like Kansas City and Boston. Chicago with an outside chance, and Tampa Bay. Those look like to be the wild card teams. Individually, let's see, Trejo with Cleveland, a good young player. It looks like he's expected to have a monster year. Jeremy Dull, who was a big trade last year, went to Cincinnati. He's back in the American League, which is probably good. I keep thinking that a team should probably put this guy at DH. He's fragile. It might save him from getting injured. But, man, his batting is amazing. He's having one of the best averages of any player I've seen in this playthrough. Last guy I've seen, one of the first guys I've seen in a long time to hit over 400 in a season. Gordon, a former Philly, expected to have another good year. He's fragile. He was injured in spring. But if he has a decent year this year, he's going to probably push himself past 500 home runs. I think this guy right now is on the bubble for the Hall of Fame. If he gets maybe 3 more years, pushes that wins above replacement up to around 65 or so, he might be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Looking at some of the other guys, Presley, I think, is a guy at Detroit, another good young player, had a good season last year. On the pitching side, let's see if I recognize, I think Nurowski has been around and has had some good seasons. Not recognizing too many of these other guys. Maybe Guardado, who's a good-looking young pitcher from Houston, who's had several good seasons, 19 wins last year. But now we look at the National League, and it's basically flipped around this year based on these predictions. They're thinking Atlanta's going to have another good year. I think they were 20 games under 500 last year after making the World Series 2 years ago. They're expected to win the East, and we're not even expected to finish at 500. I don't know about that. I think we had a good spring. Surely we're not this bad. I think we've got enough that would keep us competitive. And if 83 wins is all it's going to take to win the East, you got to put us in the mix again. I think we can hopefully manage 83 wins. But the Cardinals expected to have a good year. Arizona in the West, and then several teams here competing for the wild card: Chicago, Cincinnati, San Francisco, the Dodgers. Based on these predictions, pretty competitive year in the National League. And then for individual players, some of the guys who've been showing up for a while, especially for Arizona, got Joe Howard, a former MVP, expected to have a decent year. Suzuki, who's at 35. I mean, he's going to start to show, I think, some age, but he's a 5-star player still. Signed 2 more years with Arizona. He was an international free agent, so he's not going to put up, I don't think, the career numbers to make it to the Hall of Fame, but he has been one of the best players in this game for the last 5 seasons. He draws a lot of walks. He's got good power. Wins above replacement is always pretty high. Just a great signing for them. But that's it. In terms of Phillies, we have nobody showing up in the top hitter list. And the only pitcher we have showing up is Zach Thompson. And they've got him really having a mediocre 11-win season. But it seems like last season they had him picked to have an off year after his Cy Young Award season in 2042. And he came through last year. 16 wins. Better ERA, career high or career low in ERA. Another good year, career high in strikeouts, so career high in wins above replacement. So I'm hoping that he'll pitch a little bit better than they're thinking. But other than him, Burnham, a big guy, they're expecting 20 wins from him. He's a former Rookie of the Year and Cy Young Award winner, great pitcher, and also a great young pitcher, just 26. But I'm hoping we've got Thompson. I think he can hopefully have a better year than that anyway. But I'm not sure why he's only showing up with 32 starts. I hope that's not a sign that he's going to be injured. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got in terms of the team that I'm going to go with, starting with the pitching staff. So we've got 5-man rotation, of course. We've got Thompson, Wriggler, the guy I picked up in the offseason, a good-looking 3.5-star pitcher. I think he's going to take the place of Parker, who left in free agency. But at this stage in his career, he's younger by 6 years or so. I think he's a much better rated pitcher than Parker. So I think we really got a boost there. And then the rest of the guys, Barbarossa, who gets his double digits in wins every year. And then I am going with Andy Buck, who was kind of like a free agent in the minor system and has looked good definitely looked good in the minors and looked good in a call-up last season in September, looked good in the spring. I think he's probably going to be good enough to hold down a rotation. And then we've got, if you look at the ratings, we've got some pretty decent relievers here. Got a 5-star setup guy in Clark, Hadakiyama, 4.5 stars, but he's still got some good individual ratings. 2-time reliever of the year now. I think our pitching staff is good, especially if you consider the depth that we have in the minors. I think the big question mark here is Dean. He can be hit or miss. He was adequate last year, but his movement is really low, and he's just 2 pitches, and I'm not sure. If he starts to falter a little bit, I'll probably look to call up somebody to replace him. And then on the lineup side, looking at the ratings again, Hicks, who is a free agent signing in the offseason, at this point I think he's a better option at catcher. He had a good spring. Palma's the first baseman I picked up. This guy's individual numbers are really amazing, especially from the fact that he's a right-handed bat. I'm really interested to see what he's going to do for us. And then we got Radeball, who had a good spring, and he's going to handle second for now. And then Raboyo, biggest question mark. Can he improve on his ratings? If he does, he's fairly solid. You know, a decent defensive third baseman, double digits in potential anyway in every individual rating. Just really can't wait to see what he does. And then we got Gutierrez, Pritchard, George, Warlick. George, another question mark, whether he can handle full-time duties at center. And I'm going to have to mix and match a little bit, do a little platooning against left-handed pitchers because of George and Benefield. And outfield is not as strong as I'd like. It's going to have to, Pritchard and Warlick are going to have to really come out of the gate playing well. And in the past, they haven't put together a solid season, top start to finish. I've never seen these guys, since they've been on the team, really have, they'll have good runs and then they'll just be cold for a long stretch. And then same both with Pritchard and Warlick. So outfield could be a problem too. But again, we've got that money to go with if we need it. And if I look at the depth that I'm talking about, we've got guys like Colvin, Underwood potentially, even though his movement's not too great. Otero, Brinky, who they've moved to starting rotation. I don't know why. I guess we don't have a lot of pitchers in AAA, although Ings is going to be sent down probably in a day or two. So he'll take over for Brinky, I'm sure, in the starting rotation. And we've got some good pitchers coming up the pike there in Double A and Single A. It's pitching is really not the hot commodity it typically is in these playthroughs. In my experience, I don't think I've ever seen this much depth at pitching all across the leagues. So offense is really where we're going to struggle if we're going to struggle. So I'm going to go ahead and sim ahead so that I can move Ings down to AAA and Villalobos down to AAA. And that's going to put, I'm sure, Ings is now going to be in starting rotation. And this guy, injuries, he's the first one called up, especially that starting rotation. He's good enough to be in the majors, but I just don't have the room for him. And then lineups, I guess that would put Villalobos probably as a starter, even though he's not really, I don't think he's really ready for full-time play, either in the majors or honestly in AAA. But let's go ahead and we'll get through until next week. And I had a couple of waiver wire claims out there. So I lost this guy who was second base. I was hoping to use him as a bench player in that infield, so I didn't pick him up. But I did get this guy who is also double, he's second base. He can play multiple positions. I like his individual ratings. I'm gonna use him in place of, I think it was, who was it? Thiem, yeah. If I can, let me see if he's got some option years left. So now this is going to change things around for me, but Aeon, who can play second, can't play third, but I'm going to put him in there at third and maybe give him like every 7th game. And then short, and then he's going to play there. And he's a right-handed batter, which is, again, another thing that I wanted to pick him up for. So he's great against lefties. He's going to get some time, I think, against lefties somewhere in this lineup. But he's going to be, I think, I want him, honestly, I'm going to set the strategy on him just a little bit on the speed side, but I think I really want him taking over for Atchison there at, didn't mean to do that. I think I really want him getting the time there for left field and right field. I mean, he's going to be used quite a bit, and at least early on to see how good he is, and then we'll go from there. All right, and then against lefties, I want him definitely here. I think I'll put him like, I like Radeball enough that I don't think I want to platoon, but I will platoon a little bit against and is he good enough to start? I don't think he's good enough to start, but I want him playing quite a bit against lefties. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit more often with him. All right. I know this takes a while to do all these moves, but I like to have it set up. So Aeon, I think I had him like every 7th game at third, and then I am gonna play him in left and right, and I think I want him even backing up Tyler like every 4th game in the DH, and then against lefties, now we're not going to see, I know, a lot, but I think I want him in DH against lefties. How about that? That'll work. All right. Hopefully we won't see too many lefties on the DH side because we're pretty weak there. All right, so let's go ahead and send forward until we're ready to start the season. And we're going to start out against New York. I'm hoping that's not the Yankees. It's the Mets. So first game at home against the Mets, 2-1. Let's see, Pritchard, Warlick, the offense basically in this game. Zach Thompson, 6 strong innings to get his first win of the season. Had Akiyama's first save. Game 2, another 2-1 win. This should be, it's going to be Rigler, but he didn't get the decision with the Hadakiyama. Rigler, though, great game for his first game as a Philly. Game 3, we lose 3-7, but we do win the series. Palma 2 for 4 here. Warlick starting out pretty cold. Let's see, Hicks at catcher looking pretty good so far. Barbarossa 5 2/3, gave up 4, but Davis looked really bad in relief. And now looking at the news, let's see, Ken Howell, young guy at Oakland, hit for the cycle. And then players of the week, kind of too early, I guess, to look at that. We start out ranked 11th in the power rankings. Check that waiver wire right quick. Nothing there. And we're going to be at Washington again at home, but it's only for a couple games. We've got a trade proposal here from Cincinnati, so a pretty decent third baseman for Andy Buck. Again, everybody wants this guy. How is Robolo looking so far? Let me take a look. Not good. But I really don't want to lose Buck for that kind of a player. So I'm going to... A decent trade offer, but I'm going to reject it. Okay, first game against Washington. We win 5-4. Radebaugh, good game here. Hicks, couple RBIs. Robolo, hitless. And then Buck, 8 innings, 4 runs, but didn't get the win. Game 2 against Washington, a 1-0 win. This may have been Thompson again. Warlick home run in this game. Robollo still hitless. He's 0 for 3. He's hitting .063 for the year. Thompson, what a hard luck pitcher this guy can be. 7 1/3, no runs, 12 Ks, still didn't get the decision. I'm going to take a look at the news. Looks like a lot of things are going up on there. So Sarnick at the Dodgers going to be out for a while. Sean Gaynor, a pretty decent pitcher. He's going to be gone for Seattle for 3 to 4 months. And then New York, they're 2-4 starting out. We are 4-1, and we're on the road though. This could be a tough series. Game 1, 4-6. Radebaugh though, 4 for 5, drove in 3. Robollo finally got a hit, and then Aon started this game, was 2 for 3. Gramajo, his first start of the year, not good. 6 runs in 4 2/3 of an innings. Game 2 against New York, we win 5-1. Good win there. Gutierrez, 2 for 4, drove in 3. Aon got the start at third. He might be working his way into a starting spot somewhere. And then Rigler got his first win as a Philly. 5 fairly strong innings, just 1 run. Now, Game 3, can we win the series? We do, a 4-3 win. Pritchard, 3 for 5. Warlick, 3 for 4. So they're starting out pretty decent. Robollo, 1 for 3. His average up to 125. And then Barbarossa, his first win of the year, 7 good innings. Had Akiyama the save. Look at the news now. Jeff Steinbell, 2000th hit. How's this guy looking for his career? Pretty good. Might play long enough to get close to 500 home runs. And we got a scouting report here. Luis Pimentel, catcher, not a very good one. Players of the week: Trejo in American League, Morales for the Mets, a young player there for them. And power rankings, were 3rd. So you look at the standings, we are 6-2, tied with Washington. Kind of a surprise. Gutierrez on the leaderboard in stolen bases, had Akiyama in wins, Thompson in strikeouts. In terms of the best record, looks like it goes to Baltimore right now. That's kind of a surprise too. Take a look at that waiver wire. A lot of 2-star players, nothing good. So we're on the road again, this time against Washington. We win the first one big, 12-3. A lot of offense here. Robollo, 2 RBIs. Good to see. Palma, good game, 3 for 5. Drove in 2. Starting lineup, the first 3 guys are just amazing in this game. Radebaugh, good game, 2 for 4. And Andy Buck, his first win as a starting pitcher for us. Good outing from him. Game 2, 4-5. And this was Thompson. So Thompson's off to a pretty tough start in terms of wins. George, Pritchard, Warlick all with multiple hits. Radebaugh, 2 for 4. Thompson didn't pitch terrible, 9 Ks. Clark, though, lost it in relief. Now, Game 3, if we win this one, we're going to be ahead of them a game, it looks like. And we lose 2-5. So Washington starting out strong. We had some good offense here for the most part. Pritchard, Warlick, Palma, Robollo, each with multiple hits. Gramajo didn't look terrible in this one. Dean, though, gave up 4 runs, 1 earned to lose it. Well, he didn't lose it. Gramajo lost it. So now we're going to be back at home, but it's against Milwaukee. How good are they? Looks like they are playing really strong, 8-4. We need to win this series. That would be a good one. And we win the first game 2-1. Pretty big injury there in the minors at Reading, but not a big player. Potential 1.5 star. But looks like Rigler may have picked up the win here. His second, if it is. Not much offense, but we didn't need it. Radeball, though, off to a great start. On pace for 200-plus hits. And then Rigler got his second win, off to a really good pace. Hadakiyama, his third save. Now, game 2 against Milwaukee, 1-0. And as per usual, we are pitching well to win games. Offense, though, very sketchy right now. Palma, good game here. I'm not seeing the power from him yet. I think that'll come. Warlick off to a great start. Really a great pace for him, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. So he could possibly have a breakout year for sure. And then Barbarossa, really good here. 8 innings, no runs, 10 Ks. Barbarossa is the kind of guy, I signed him to that 4-year extension at a pretty reasonable price. If he can hang in there and keep his spot in the rotation, he's going to wind up, I think, on the leaderboard for Philadelphia in terms of top 10 career pitching or career wins, maybe even in the strikeout totals. Kind of surprised. I've always been surprised by the numbers he puts up. So game 3, can we sweep Milwaukee? We don't. Lose 1-3. Boy, that offense is struggling. Few guys with a hit at least in the game, but Aon looking really good off the bench. Buck, another kind of decent game, but offensively we just didn't have enough to get the win for him. So Burnham off to a good start. He got a shutout there. Players of the week, Sincere Bess, Joe Howard. He's off to a tremendous start. Former MVP for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then power rankings, we are 6th. Tied, it looks like, with Miami now. And Washington just a game back. So a pretty odd start to the season so far. Atlanta, I kind of had a feeling Atlanta wasn't going to do what the preseason predictions predicted, because it's tough to turn around a year like they had last year. I don't know if they really had that big of an offseason either. So I know for us, we have one of the worst off seasons in the league, but I forgot to really check and see how Atlanta did. But Arizona, oh man, once again, 13-4 to start the season. And a lot of good teams there in the American League East. Central's pretty competitive in both American League and National League. Are there any big numbers here to look at? Ian Norman, that's a big number to look at. He's hitting .397 to start the season. Off to another good year, or a good start for him. Joe Howard having such an amazing start. All right, so I'll check the waiver wire. I like to check it pretty regularly early in the season, because that's a lot of times that's when you'll see it most active, and nothing going on. We got a big series coming up though right now. We're at home, but it's against Arizona. If we could win 2 or 3 here, that would be really good, and then maybe go win 2 or 3 in Miami. Game 1, 2-1. Radeball again, a great game for him. He may have gotten he did a home run. George 2 for 4. Raboyo 1 for 3. Thompson should have got the win here. 6 innings, just 1 run. And because of the poor offense, this guy's only on pace for 9 wins, but 351 Ks. That's terrible. I hope that we turn that around for him. If I look at the team stats, it's pretty much trending towards pitching, although the pitching doesn't look as good as it has looked in the last couple seasons. So game 2 against Arizona, 7-6. Offense gets going, and we are going to win the series. Gutierrez a good game, 3 for 4. Rabollo scored a couple runs. Palma 2 for 4, but still with just 1 home run. And Gramajo 2 for 4, 2 for 2, and I thought he may have gotten the win. He didn't get the win. Hadakiyama 6 saves. He's up on pace for 30 wins, 61 saves. He might three-peat as reliever of the year. So game 3, can we sweep Arizona? That'd be a very sweet, and we do, 7-2. Another good offensive performance. Warlick 2 for 4, 7 home runs so far. Pace for 67. Palma, home run in this game. He's looking really good, average-wise. Radebaugh, another solid game. So Radebaugh, he's 26. He's got that starting job now. I mean, his numbers, if he's ready to develop, his ratings could start jumping up pretty high if he keeps this up. I know he's not rated too highly by OSA, but I like those individual ratings. And looks like Rigler got his 3rd win, so he's on pace for 27. That was definitely a good pickup so far. Take a look at the news. Pat Dowdy, who went to Kansas City, got his 2500th hit. So pretty decent career for him. Sean Hicks. Oh man, I didn't realize that, but we got an injury to Sean Hicks, our starting catcher. And that's a moderate injury. I don't want to risk it. He's off to a poor start, but I do not want to risk losing him for the season. See if there's any waiver wire catchers. There's not, obviously. And then, for the minors, we don't really have a good catching solution there in the minors. I mean, I don't know if it's too early to hit the free agent list for catchers. I mean, a guy like Aguirre has 2 option years left, so I could sign him as a backup if I need him. He's got some decent individual ratings. And let's see if there's anybody else. Vince Hale. Quartang. Do I really want to give Quartang another chance? I think I will. Wow. I like his defense. And in terms of option years, he has 3 left. I'll try this guy. I'll just offer him a minor league contract, see what I can get for him, and then ride it out for a few days here to see what's going to happen. McGee was adequate last year. He wasn't terrible, so it could be a worse situation, I guess. Let's see how he's. All right, so there we go with. I think I'll move him up a little bit. No, I'll leave him in 8th spot. All right, so another good series here on the road against Miami. Game 1, we lose 3-0. So Miami having a great start to the season too. Radebaugh 2 hits in this one. Probably the only positive I could see. Barbarossa took the loss. And then game 2 against Miami, 2-0. Offense is just really, really struggling. Buck looked good, 7 innings, just 2 runs. But you can't win if you don't score. So game 3, 5-0, so we kind of returned the favor, but wasn't enough to win that series for us. But look at how we're bunched up here. We're, just based on percentage, we're still in first place, but Miami and Washington off to great starts. In this game, Rabollo 2 hits, Radebaugh 2 hits again. Thompson finally has got his 2nd win, 7 strong innings, ERA down to 164. He is off to a great start. I hope that we start getting some offense for him. So look at the news here. Burnham off to a great start too, even better start. 3 wins, a 1.45 ERA. Doesn't have as many strikeouts, I guess, as Thompson, but he's probably the early favorite for the Cy Young. And we did pick up Adams, so I'm going to put him into promote him to Philadelphia as a backup. Josh May, 15 Ks for Morales. The pitching really is pretty heavy right now in this playthrough. I mean, pitching is dominating the league, honestly. I think the teams who have the best pitching are like us, with these 5 National League East titles in a row. Those are the teams that are winning out here. Although Yankees probably beat us last year because they had the better offense in the World Series. But if you look, team power rankings were 4th, but we got a tough task ahead of us, looks like. And I'm going to take a look at the waiver wire. Still just, pitching. That's what you're seeing. I mean, these are good pitchers showing up. This guy could start. Really looks like he's got high enough ratings to be a good relief player or a good relief pitcher. Let me see how everything's looking. Jared Davis is struggling, but he has good ratings and has had a good career. Josh Dean looks pretty good so far. Hasn't pitched a whole lot. He was the question mark for me, so I'm gonna stick with him for now. And then lineups, I'm gonna put Ian Adams as a backup here, put him every 6th game. And I want him to be the defensive backup. Did I do that right? No, every 6th game. I do like his defensive ability for sure. I usually don't use defensive subs too much. I've got George coming in there a few times if I need him, but honestly I need to move that off because he's in the starting lineup there. All right, so we're on the road now. I forgot to check who this is. It's Dodgers. Dodgers are struggling a little bit, 10-13, so maybe we got a chance here. Game 1 on the road, we lose 3-4. About the only offense we had was Tyler off the bench. Looks like he got a home run. Gramajo, 7 strong innings, 3 runs, 8 Ks. Hadakayama, though, blew it in the bullpen. Now game 2, 4-0. Offense is just not doing it, and I guess Rebollo is the big question mark, obviously, but there's some other guys here I think who are struggling. Gutierrez not doing too well either, but Rigler, first loss of the year, 5 1/3, 4 runs. Still happy with his performance so far. And then game 3 we managed to win 6-2. So offensively, Rebollo had his best game, first home run of his season. I think he had 1 last year, so maybe that's a positive sign. Palma's struggling a little bit though. His average down to 262. And then Barbarossa picks up his 3rd win, 7 2/3 strong innings here, puts him on pace for 21. I don't think he'll get there, but man, if he were to get 21 wins this year, that'd be very incredible. So now we're going up against San Diego, and this is a 3-game series, and I'll probably, some injuries happening there in the minors. I'm going to, we won the first game 2-1. This is probably the last series I play here, but big injury news here for Chicago. Danny Baird out for 6 months. He is, at least 2 years ago, he was coming off a great offensive season, still rated highly. He's probably one of their best offensive players. And now Cincinnati loses one of their better players, a 5-star 3rd baseman. He's going to be gone for a couple months. But first game against San Diego, we win. Andy Buck may have gotten the decision here. Warlick, a good game. He's off to a great start. Really is. On pace for 54 home runs, 135 RBIs. Rebollo, a hit here. He's inching closer to 200. But Buck, 6 strong innings, 10 strikeouts. Those are pretty good numbers from your 5th starter, 4th starter. Hadakiyama, 7 saves. Game 2 against San Diego, we win 3-0. And I hope this went to Thompson. It looks like it may have. So Warlick, another good game. Gutierrez, a couple RBIs. And then Thompson, his 3rd win. 7 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts. Hadakiyama, 8th save. So now things are looking a little bit better. He's on pace for 18 wins. I don't think that ERA is going to stay that low, but man, that's a great start for him. Probably going to get his 1,000th strikeout this season. I think he's going to be, before it's all said and done, he's going to be a career great for the Phillies if he stays healthy. And then game 3 against San Diego, can we sweep them? We're back in first, a game over Miami, 2 over Washington. And we do, another shutout, 4-0. Rated ball, 2 for 4, 3 RBIs. Rebollo got a hit here. Let's see, Gramajo, best game of the year for him, his first win of the season. And we're through the first month, so we're going to have a lot of news to look at. So batters of the month, Ben Dooley for Cleveland. He is a good player, 25 years old, off to a great start for his career. Joe Howard, not much of a surprise there. He's young as well. He's hitting .413 for the season. That's unbelievable. And then pitching wise, probably a lot of good choices here, but Astros, Walt Guardado, and then Josh Pereira. How does he win out over Burnham and Thompson? But 5 wins, that's probably how he did it. And rookies of the month, Jared Clare and Juan Cassius. Those guys do look strong. So, players of the week, Juan Maldonado and Billy Calvo. And then power rankings, we got to be up there pretty high. We're 3rd. We're 17-9, 2 games above Miami and Washington. So a good start. And standings overall, Baltimore surprisingly leading the Yankees in the East. Cleveland, best record in the American League. Actually, best record in baseball right now. And then Oakland, that may be a surprise. I don't think they were picked too high in the preseason predictions. But individually, you got some guys on some pretty decent pace for home runs. Granda, again, at New York, on pace for 56. And then in the National League, you got us leading the East, St. Louis and Milwaukee looking good, and the Central, Chicago really struggling. And then Arizona, once again, best record in the National League. But Colorado, who knocked the Diamondbacks out of the playoffs last season, they're having a good series or a good season start so far. Individually, we got Warlick showing up in the RBI leaderboard. Joe Howard, of course, leading in average. Thompson, 2nd in strikeouts. Hadakiyama, 2nd in saves. So pitching is where it's at. And we're going to have to monitor the offense really closely, I think, to make sure that we get better or we're not going to win the East again. Pitching, you see we're 1st in several categories. But I'm not ready to give up yet on some of these guys. I know Rebollo's struggling, but I think it's too early. And what I'm going to do offline, I'll go ahead, send through the draft, come back after the draft. We'll go through the All-Star break probably, see how we're looking then. But I'm hoping we can keep this going because, this is it. I mean, this is the last chance to get back to the World Series and win it. But we only got a few more episodes left, and that'll be it for this series. I appreciate you guys staying with me. I appreciate the comments and likes and subscriptions. Hopefully you're still enjoying it and you'll ride it out with me. But I will get offline here, do some more simming, and I will see you next episode.